Today is Thursday, August 10th. We're talking to our Jets beat writer, Brian Costello, who is down there in Carolina as the Jets had a joint practice on Wednesday against the Panthers. Brian, how you doing, man?
I'm good, Ryan. How are you?
I'm doing well. A lot of reports, obviously, you wrote this, and a lot of the reports came out about the Jets offensive line struggling against the Panthers defense on Wednesday. So I wanted to ask you straight up and get your takeaways from observing practice. What did you see in practice Wednesday?
Yeah, it wasn't good. Aaron Rodgers, first team offense. Rodgers was under pressure a lot. He looked frustrated. Look, the Panthers have a good defense, so let's start there. Brian Burns is the real deal, and he was one of the ones that was causing a lot of havoc. But a lot. If you look around the NFL, a lot of teams have good defensive lines now. That's sort of become the model of how you build teams, and the Jets are going to face a lot of good ones. So they need this offensive line to be ready, and they're not right now. And so, I thought today, Thursday, they didn't have a joint practice today, but they practiced themselves. I thought they looked better. But remember, Ryan, we're 3 weeks into training camp now, which is hard to believe. So the Jets offense has seen the Jets defense every day for 3 weeks. All right. So that's this attacking Robert Saleh defense. The Panthers run a defense that's more read and react, and it's a little different. And I think that style may have, like, somebody, I think it was Elijah Vera Tucker said today, it kind of slowed them down because they were adjusting to it. So I think it was jarring for them just to see another team. So that was part of it. But clearly the offensive line is the biggest concern about this team right now, Ryan.
Yeah, I think we heard Connor McGovern speak yesterday as well about how, it was a little bit jarring, like you said, that term for them to go against that Panthers defense. And it seems like they weren't maybe prepared for that type of defense to face it. But
you don't game plan for these
right,
practices, right? Like, it isn't really a game. And so, and Paul, I thought it was interesting. Silas said yesterday, one of the reasons they liked the Panthers for these game scrimmages, because their defense is the same as the Dolphins, right? So Ichiro, the Panthers defense coordinator, he was Vic Fangio's. He's from the Vic Fangio school. So Vic Fangio now in Miami. So this was sort of a chance for them to see that defense, which is, obviously Miami, they're going to see twice this season.
Yeah. And obviously this was the premiere of Hard Knocks this week. So that was one thing going on. And everything came out, rose colored glasses. I think a lot of fans were excited to watch that first episode, but this was a little bit of a reality check here because this is the first time I think you saw the ones go up against another team in the Panthers. Aaron Rodgers, like you said, seemed like he was frustrated there. What'd you take from his comments yesterday about the Jets and how they performed against the Panthers ones there? And, is it time? My question here really about the Jets offensive line. Is it too early? Is it time to panic about this offensive line and the situation that's being developed here?
Yeah, so Rodgers, I thought you're seeing him start to lose patience a little bit. Like he started out this camp saying he was going to be patient. He knew there was a lot of new pieces. They were learning. I think it's, I have to think he said that something to them behind the scenes yesterday and gave him a little kick in the ass, maybe, just to get going. Is it too early to panic? We're on August 10th. They have a game in a month, right? So they have a month to figure this out. So I think it's too early to panic, Ryan.
Okay.
I do think Dwayne Brown is a big piece of this too. He's not out there right now. They need him back. I keep hearing he's coming back soon. He's coming back soon. He's not out there. Like they need him out there. If you put Dwayne Brown out there when he's healthy and he's ready to go, now I think you've got 4 decent to good pieces out there, and you have 1 question mark, which is a tackle. Right now, they have both tackles are question marks because Dwayne isn't out there. I think you're solid. Vera Tucker's good, right? Vera Tucker could be a Pro Bowler. I think Connor McGovern is a serviceable starter at center, and I think Laken Tomlinson can have a bounce back year from last year. So I'm not so worried about the middle of this line. It's the tackles. And so if Dwayne comes back and he's healthy and good, now you're worried about one position, which, okay, but they have time to figure that out. I think it's too soon to panic, but it's not too soon to be concerned. I put it that way.
Okay. So that's a good way to think about it. But the follow-up to that right there, I guess, would be Makai Beckton obviously only played 7 snaps in that Hall of Fame game. He hasn't made it. It seems like he's not getting through a full practice, and maybe Saleh's trying to push him to get, trust the strength in his knee. And I know he's going through that recovery process because he hasn't played a game in two whole seasons. What is there to expect here? Like, could Makai Beckton push himself into that starter role if Dwayne Brown isn't ready by week 1?
I don't see it right now.
Okay.
He's getting through practices. He's gotten through some practices the whole way. So I don't want to say that he's not making it through practices, but Right. The analogy I used to somebody who was inside the Jets today, and they like this analogy, is it's like a starting pitcher that shows up at spring training, right? They don't throw 100 pitches the first day they go to spring training, right? We all follow the Mets, Yankees, and there's hope. When there was hope in March, right? And the pitcher showed up.
Yeah.
They throw an inning, they throw 2 innings, and then later it goes in March. They start throwing 4 innings and 6 innings, and they work their way up to 100 pitches. And that's what Makai Beckton is doing right now. He's working his way up, and can he get there? Sure, but he has to clear that mental hurdle, I think, with his knee and confidence wise. And the preseason games are huge for Makai Beckton. And so he made it through 7 snaps last week of the Hall of Fame game. Look, that stadium for the Hall of Fame game is not a NFL stadium. It doesn't have NFL turf. So I think his concerns were valid there. Now he's going to be on the NFL fields, Carolina, which there's been some complaints about the turf at Carolina before. So we'll see, but he needs to, can he make it through, whatever the starters play on Saturday night, can he make it through all of that? Whether that's 4 series, 5 series, a half. I don't think they're putting a number on it, but Sal said he wants to see him push himself. So can he make it? And then that's the next step. And then, I do think at some point, he deserves some first team reps in practice. He has not been getting them. I think the coaches want to see him prove himself a little bit, but if he can do that, then I think if he gets first team reps in practice, now you start wondering if he can play first team. But also, Ryan, he's only played left tackle.
Right.
And they have not moved him. They're moving the other guys all around. Billy Turner and Max Mitchell are playing both. So, Dwayne Brown feels like, to me, he's penciled in as the left tackle. So I don't know where that leaves Makai. He's got to play right tackle at some point, and he's been clear he doesn't want to. In the past, he said this in camp he's willing to, but I don't know. I think it's wait and see. And then I'll throw one more curveball at you.
Yeah.
For tomorrow. I asked Sal today, what if you don't feel like if someone sees the right tackle position, would Elijah Vera Tucker be a candidate to move to right tackle? And he didn't shoot it down. He said they'll play the best 5. If that's the best 5, they'll do it. Because in my mind, the question is like Wes Schweitzer, I think, would play right guard if you move Vera Tucker.
Okay.
Is Wes Schweitzer a better option at right guard than Billy Turner or Max Mitchell are at right tackle? And then, because that's sort of what happened last year. They liked Nate Herbig. So they kicked Vera Tucker outside because they trusted Herbig to take the guard spot. So that's something I would consider if I was them. I think Vera Tucker is probably the best option to tackle right now. So he played really well last year, and he's a really talented guy. So I think it's something they have to consider. It's what I wrote for Friday's post.
Yeah, I saw an interesting stat about Vera Tucker. He was the 5th highest rated pass rush win rate as a right tackle last year. Obviously, only in a small sample size, but that's impressive though, considering, like you said, he can play that position, and he did play it pretty well. So will be an interesting situation to see how
he did in college. Remember, Ryan, too. He played left tackle at USC. So
he has the position versatility, which is important, obviously. So last question for you, Brian, heading into Saturday against the Panthers. This is going to be the second preseason game for the Jets. What is the thing you're most looking forward to?
It being over. Ryan, look, these preseason games are tough. If anyone that follows me on Twitter, I like to complain about preseason games. I think Zach Wilson, you want to see him again go out there and not have any big mistakes. If he has another good play like he had in the Hall of Fame game, all the better. To me, this is about Zach rebuilding his confidence this whole time. And can he make it through without throwing any brutal interceptions or fumbling? That's the biggest thing to me. Then Beckton is obviously number 2 to me. Can he, like we talked about, how far can he play into the game? How does he look playing? But preseason games are brutal. I think for the Jets' perspective, they're looking through, just get through with no injuries. That's the biggest thing for them.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that. And real quick, Malik Taylor, he had a standout play today. A guy like him, I've heard named Jason Brownlee. Are those guys that could potentially push their ways on the roster, you think, with a strong game on Saturday?
Well, let's say Aaron Rodgers made that play. That was the most ridiculous throw I think I've ever seen. Like he, in person, he threw it across his body, rolling to the left, and like the video the Jets tweeted doesn't even do justice because they're close up because they don't want you to see the formation and everything. That his toes were on the sideline, and the ball it was like perfect. It was just unbelievable. So yeah, Taylor's had a good camp. Yeah, I mean, I think there's some, that last wide receiver position is probably up for grabs. So we'll see. Brownlee's had some good practices. He's been a little quieter in the last week after everybody was ready to put him in the Hall of Fame last week. But yeah, so I think with the position battles and roster battles, there's still a long way to go, right? They got 2 more weeks, three more preseason games. So this is the longest training camp in the history of the world.
For anyone watching this video, we went through the entire schedule about Brian's scheduling conflicts, and there are a ton of primetime games that he's got to go to, and it's just a brutal schedule coming up.
At least they count. At least they count, Ryan. These preseason games are just tough. They're just, and every year it feels like they become less and less relevant because no one plays.
Right.
At least Zach Wilson and Makai Beckton make this a little more interesting for the Jets' perspective, because those are 2 guys, obviously high first-round draft picks, and they're kind of in weird positions in their career of trying to get them back on track, and preseason matters for them.
Right. A gut feeling, and again, I just want to wrap it really quick here. Is Aaron Rodgers going to play against the Giants in that preseason game? Do you think he'll get like maybe a series?
I think he might. He might. I feel like that's heading that way. The starters might play a little bit, because I do think they need some more time together. Like we talked about, this offensive line has all these moving pieces, right? So if they could figure out the starting 5 before that game, and then Garrett Wilson missed some time, Lazard missed some time, I doubt Breece Hall would be ready by then. But the offense has had a lot of moving pieces. I think they probably could use a series or 2 just before the season comes to play together. And so I wouldn't be shocked if that was the case against the Giants. And it's a home game. They know the field, so I think they'd be comfortable with that.
Well, Brian, there's a lot of interesting stuff here. We're going to be looking forward to watching you tweet about it and all. And appreciate you as always, man.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.